DuPage Economic Development Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Chair LaPlante.
Here.
Vice Chair Galassi. Member Rutledge. Here. Member Covert. Member Childress. Yes. And Member Yu.
Here. Wonderful. I make a motion before we get into everything that we move agenda item 7A up in the agenda to have the presentation from DCVB before we vote on the annual financial commitment. So moved. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. A motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Great, that passes. Wonderful. I move to approve the minutes from the Economic Development Committee regular meeting on September 19th, 2023.
So moved. Second.
Thank you so much. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Great. For Chairwoman remarks, I would just like to welcome two of our very valued partners, Choose DuPage and the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau, to our Economic Development Committee meeting. We look forward to your presentations and also to funding. We talked to the discussion for funding and renewing your contracts. And also just thank you for being here. Thank you for all the work that you've done in the past. And I look forward to everything we're going to be doing together in the future. 6A, I move to approve item FIR. Pardon me? Public comment. I did not do public comment. Thank you so much, Joan. Do we have public comment?
We do not.
We do not. Okay, well, let me ask that again. Do we have public comments? No. Okay, I thought perhaps Karen would have something to say. But no worries whatsoever. Welcome. No public comment. Moving on to item 6A, resolutions. I move to approve the service FIR 0237-23, a service agreement between the County of DuPage and Choose DuPage fiscal years 2024 and 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Member you?
Sorry, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just wanted to be clear because this was the first time that I've seen this service agreement, and as a new board member, I just wanted to just get a few more details. So it is a county contribution limit of up to $425,000. Is that including the rental payments that go to as a co-star, or is it on top of that? I just wanted to make clear.
Mr. Bedeloff, would you like to answer these questions?
Yeah, the 425 is inclusive of the payments to CoStar, which are deducted from the monthly check that the Choose DuPage receives from the county. We use CoStar in conjunction with John Loper and the folks in transportation, as well as Paul Haas as the folks in community development. So we get a better price by sharing the costs with the county, and therefore the agreement with CoStar is actually with the county, and we pay for our portion of it through a deduction of our monthly contribution from the county.
And the rental amount for for your space through CoStar, that hasn't gone up in recent years. It's just remained flat.
Remain absolutely. Actually, it's gone down.
Oh, okay.
2 years, a year ago, we moved. We used to co-office with our friends at WorkNet. They had some expansion needs, so we voluntarily moved out of their way so they could expand. And we were able to leverage our position with some DuPage County builders and developers to go into their space, and our rent price actually went down.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Member Krajewski.
Yeah, just since we're doing a little history, I just like to say I got on the board in 2010, and I think at the time they were giving $600,000 or so to Choose DuPage. And actually, we had this company, Edward Bond. Some of you may be familiar with them. That provide all the restaurant equipment around the country. They were in North Riverside, Chicago, and sales tax was 10%. They couldn't compete with out-of-state vendors who could sell it for 6% in the state, even though they had to charge 10%. So they were looking to go to Wisconsin or to go to Will County, because Will County had those big distribution centers on I-55. And Choose DuPage, actually, I know Greg worked on that for probably 8 months, and the county did do some concessions. They were able to get Edward Don to locate their distribution center in Woodridge, District 3, right in a park, which has now since been built. The only thing with that distribution center is all their sales, which was like $600 million was approved out of there. So that one project generates about $600,000 a year for DuPage County since 2010 sales tax. So that one project that they did in 2010 has pretty much paid for themselves and then some for the entire time since 2010. And that whole park now has been built up. And of course, Nick knows the construction out by Costco. It's been taking 2 years to get all the traffic. But again, it's a distribution center, but it generates sales tax, which is kind of unique. And Woodridge has been a big benefactor, but it's got us $600,000 a year for the last 12 years now. And that the little truck that's on my desk, that was from Don Petrowski, who's the head of transportation, who helped get the impact fees taken care of to make the last step to get them to locate here in DuPage versus Wisconsin at Will County. So I just want to give that history of that one win. It's really covered their costs for the entire time.
Thank you for that history lesson. I appreciate it. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, seeing none, we're good. That passes. Thank you. We look forward to keep working together. Thank you so much, Choose DuPage. Moving on to 6B, what we're going to do is have a presentation now, and I'd like to welcome Beth Marchetti with the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau, and she's going to walk us through everything that DCVB has been doing.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. This is my combo recap of the quarter for all the activities that we've been doing at the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau and DuPage Sports Commission. And then it is our funding request as well today. So we're going to go over, my agenda is to talk a little bit about the state numbers that Governor Pritzker announced about a month and a half ago. And then we'll get into the DuPage numbers a little bit. I'm going to do a recap of the ARPA money that we did receive from the county. So again, thank you for that. And we're going to get going here. So maybe. I can keep going. Oh, great. Thank you. So Governor Pritzker announced that our economic impact for tourism numbers in 2022, I'm delighted to say that hotel revenues surpassed 2019 numbers. So we are recovering very nicely. I'm almost over talking about recovering, right? But however, and we'll see in just a minute here, we still don't have quite as many visitors as we did. So our numbers are up from 2021, but the 111 million visitors are still not where they needed to be. Next slide, please. I'm going to go quickly through these. So the takeaway from this slide, again, is if you look at 2018, we had 117 million visitors to Illinois. And in 2022, we were at 111.3 million visitors. So again, while we're up from 2021, we're not quite, we're at 91% of 2019 levels. Next slide, please. So we have a brand new Deputy Director of the Illinois Office of Tourism who is reporting to the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. His name is Daniel Thomas. I'm delighted to say DuPage County was the second of 25 listening tours. So we were able to sneak him into the last week of Andy Warhol. Thank you to Member Yu for attending. We didn't quite get you in that picture because I know you had to leave just a little bit, but we had a really good turnout. And we really did talk about the issues that our industry faces. Next slide, please. So now we'll go to DuPage numbers. So I'm delighted to say that we are at almost $3 billion in tourism revenues in just DuPage County alone. 25,000 jobs, and you can see the state and local tax receipts. We are up, delighted to say. I think we'll explain a little bit why I think those numbers are up, but we're hoping that they continue, right? So great news for DuPage. Next slide, please. I think we'll put it into perspective here. I know I talk a lot about hotels. As you can see though, really the drivers of visitors are really pushing into that transportation sector and the eating and drinking sector. So again, we are funded by state hotel tax, matched through a grant with local hotel tax, but that's just a small portion of all the tax revenues that we generate for the county. Next slide, please. Wanted to show you this. This is information that comes out of the state, just to show you again that DuPage is second only to Cook County. I think what I'm going to do is, if you look at the bottom right-hand side in yellow highlighted, Cook County does generate 64% of all of the visitor spending, but you can see DuPage County is almost at 7%, And then third is Lake County. So no one else in the entire state is near DuPage County. I'm gonna leave that up for just a second. There's lots of information on this, and I think I'm happy to send you the PowerPoint after this. Lots of information. I'm just giving you the little nuggets of highlights there. So again, really important, DuPage, second only to Cook. Next slide, please. This is way too much information, but I wanted to point out the left side there. While we have our revenues doing really well, our occupancy is not restored. So what that means is it's somewhat great because our hotels are able to drive rate, but the occupancy is not there. So if occupancy isn't there, that means there's fewer people in the hotels, which mean in turn that there's fewer people in the restaurants and fewer from visitors, fewer people in our retail stores. So we would like to see those occupancy numbers go up. Next slide, please. I know some of you attended the Medina meeting that we had, so there are still obviously major issues in our hotel world. Most certainly renovations that are needed to be made and investment in the hotels. We have PGA Tour coming. They actually came several weeks ago to do sites. They actually went to Chicago. Best news ever. Taylor Swift was in that weekend. It took them an hour and 55 minutes to get to Medina. So they said, no way, we're staying in DuPage County. So,
Thank you,
thank you,
Taylor.
Thank you, Taylor, for many reasons.
Yeah.
So,
As if you needed another.
I know,
right?
Thank you, Taylor, because you brought a lot of visitors.
She really
and our
does.
hotels were
Really
actually,
does run the world.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
I think the biggest things are obviously we need some investment in our hotels. They are dated. They need to be invested in. So that was something that PGA Tour is looking for. And we did give them a list of all of our ownership groups and management groups that are going to be renovating and investing in their hotels before 2026. Next slide, please. Again, this just goes, if you look at the occupancy, we're still down 4% in occupancy. And if you look to the far right, we are still down in room demand, 3.4% from 2019. I show you this slide because I know Mr. Badloff has been working with the Greater North Chicago Economic Impact. I'm getting it all wrong.
Close enough.
Yeah, not even close.
Greater Chicago.
There we go. Thank you. So our Chicago Plus group has been meeting since 1990. And so next slide, please. The platforms that we've been able to use are, I'm going to keep going. Next slide, please. Are really great, but this is completely an investment that DuPage CBB did to get some of these platform information. Again, we're talking about President's Cup. We're working closely with all the Medina folks. We actually will have an activation at next year's President's Cup. That's usually what CBBs are really trying to drum up the business from the year before, which will be in Montreal. So really good numbers. And as you know, Jim Hart actually attended one of the largest international trade shows with us in May of last year, just to make sure that people knew about Medina, especially the international tour operators and receptives, because we're going to be selling packages that include tickets, luxury behind the scenes, all those good things. So next slide, please. Again, just to show you that, again, we went to also, besides IPW, we were at the International Association of Group Tour Operators, where we're really pushing out, make sure you come to DuPage. Best thing that could happen in Montreal is if the international team wins. I hate to say that publicly, but I am, because I think it's going to draw more international visitors. And we obviously want international visitors. They stay 4 times as long and they spend 4 times as much money. Next slide, please. So ARPA, thank you to the county. And I wanted to give you an update on some of the ARPA investments that we've been able to accomplish. Next slide, please. So TNBA, thank you to Member Childress for joining us. I'm delighted to say that with those sports bid fees, we were able to land the 2024 annual championship. That will be approximately 3,882 rooms, will be held at Stardust Bowl. And fingers crossed, we will be hopefully in contention for the 2027 championship, which again will not be ARPA money, but at least we landed this one. So again, thank you for that, because that was really rolling out the red carpet for them. Next slide, please.
Beth, can you clarify, you said 2027, but you won the 2024?
We won the
Is that correct?
2024
Okay,
and we'll
thank you.
be, if you want to go back, we're in contention for 2027. Yep. Estimated economic impact for about $3 million.
Thank you.
Yes. Mr. Childress, we might be asking you to come back again and make sure.
No problem.
Since Stardust is in your neck of the woods. We also won the 2025 Postal Federal Bowling Association. So that's about 500 rooms. It's not a huge tournament, but it's important because it's in a very neat time for our hotels, January. And we went to South Bend, Indiana, to kick off this event and make sure they knew DuPage is ready to roll out the red carpet for them. So that's a really great investment. This was part of the $150,000 that was given to Stardust Bowl, and that's how they wanted to use a portion of this money. Next slide, please. Frosty Fastings. I think we all talked about this. This is when groups weren't coming, meetings weren't coming. Guess what? Esports is the hot topic here. This is one of the largest esport gaming conferences, and you can see from the top right slide there. It has been in DuPage. There's 3,500 participants. It generates almost 3,000 room nights. The ARPA money that you're helping us with is to actually add a second or third hotel and provide transportation, because we just can't fit it any longer in just the Westin, our largest hotel. Who knew, right? So this way we can at least keep it in DuPage. Fingers crossed. I'm really hoping that we can continue to do this, because we don't want to lose it to Schaumburg at the Renaissance. So it's a good piece of business for us. And you can see, obviously, there are people from all over the world there. Next slide, please. So we are also hosting our inaugural Midwest Esports Invitational, and there is a video. Now recall that the audience is gamers. So if we can't show it, that's okay, but I can send that to everyone. It's a pretty interesting video. No, it's when you click on the, yep. Supposed to look very CGI. Representative Lyle.
Piece of cake.
So again, this is a collegiate esports tournament that we're hosting. It's inaugural, February 24th to the 25th. Next slide, please. That was again a portion of the. Thank you to Chair LaPlante and to Greg Beloff for joining us with our Kemper Sports. They are very interested in investing in DuPage County. We took them on 5 different sites. There are actually several village managers who will be seeing Steve at appointments at one of the shows that they're going to for city managers. Next slide, please. We've all been talking about pickleball, so USA Pickleball was here. This is really exciting because we have a really great opportunity to host several of their large tournaments. Next slide, please.
I'll be winning most of
You in
those.
there?
Member Galassi and I.
We're gonna partner up.
We're gonna dominate.
I think the biggest heartfelt tournament that we hosted this year was the Broom Fitters 5 and Under. 5 and Under does not mean they're age 5. That means that they've been playing curling for 5 or less years. And this was the wheelchair Broom Fitters competition at Who Knew Curling Center in Miller Park. And I remember the very inaugural meeting, we were there, Member Rutledge and I. So they are very interested in coming back. They're going to Fort Wayne next year, but we know we can kick Fort Wayne's rear end and have a really great tournament here. So next slide, please. So the CMAP collaboration, this is similar to what the Choose DuPage is doing with all their economic development offices. Next slide, please. I'm almost done. So we were able to do a really great continued campaign. This was the summer campaign with some really amazing images. Just wanted to show you highlights of this. We were able to do our acquisition costs, get it down to $1.02 per click. Really great, colorful, wonderful images. Next slide, please. This is a sampling of other CVBs, including Oak Park area, Rosemont, et cetera. Next slide, please. Just showing you on the smartphone there. But what's most interesting is look at what DuPage numbers are, even versus Choose Chicago.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's great.
So paid social really, our team does an amazing job, and we do that internally. So it's really proud, and I almost wanted to thumb my nose at all my colleagues because we really knocked it out of the park. So that's great. Next slide, please. Again, this was just some of the images, and I think that speaks volumes. So we've got some amazing attractions in DuPage County, and Umbrella Sky, and then if you haven't been to the Morton Arboretum to see the new exhibit, I strongly encourage you to do that from the Polish artist that's there. So really today what I'm asking for is our annual contribution of $50,000. And since Member Krajewski gave a little history, when we started with the county, we were actually started by Jack Kneffer, and our allotment was $500,000 a year. Over the years, we've been able to get additional monies from the state, from our municipal partners. So it dropped to $25,000 a year several years ago, but we were able to get it up to $50,000 a year. So that was my request again for today. In March, we usually get a resolution, which is required for us to send to the state of Illinois to be the only certified bureau that represents all of DuPage County. So we'll be coming back for that. But I thank you for your time. I try to go quick, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Quick question. So what's your overall general budget?
So we are a capped bureau. We receive $1.5 million from the state of Illinois. Basically, DuPage County is funding the entire state CBB program. I hate to say that, but we are. We send more than $18 million to the state. So 1.5 million is our state grant, but we have to match it. If we don't match it, it gets reallocated to Rosemont, Schaumburg, and all the other communities. So we use the $50,000 from the county in addition to the money from all of our local municipalities, which is about $600,000. And I still have to make up other monies to make the match, but that's what it's for.
And one other question. You talked about busing people to other hotels, and I know you have the one in Lisle, which is a great hotel there. There's also two other hotels that are very close. There's the Marriott right there on Neighbor Boulevard and 88, and then the bigger hotel with a banquet facility that can accommodate thousands, well, not thousands, but a lot of people. Is that what you're thinking, is to kind of keep it close to each of the events that are being promoted, or?
We have to do what the client wants us to do, right? And so because Embassy Suites Lombard is right across the street from the Westin Lombard, that's where they wanted to be. But all three larger full-service hotels in Naperville are members of ours, and we do a lot of business, particularly with the Marriott Naperville. And in fact, their director of sales is on our board. So yes, we will have many things coming up for the city of Naperville. Great, thank you.
Any other questions for Beth? Okay, thank you so much, Beth.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Okay, let's go back to item 6B, now that we've had the presentation. FIR 0236-23.
Second.
I move to approve the annual financial commitments in support of DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau for fiscal year 2023 in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
Yes. All in favor?
I already read that.
Anyone opposed? Wonderful, that motion passes. Terrific. Anyone have any old business? Any new business? Seeing none, I call the meeting adjourned. Thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate your support and we look forward to everything.